Welcome to Inside My Silence, a podcast made for the thoughts you never say out loud, for the feelings you carry quietly, and the moments you don't know how to name. Here, there's no pressure to be okay, no need to explain, just a space to breathe, to feel, to sit with whatever's inside without fear. Let this be your soft pause in a world that moves too fast. Now, let's begin. Tonight, I want to talk to you. Not loudly, not urgently, just softly, as if we're sitting across from each other in a dim room where the only sound is the hum of the world falling asleep. You don't have to answer. You don't even have to agree. Just stay with me. Is there a feeling you've never dared to name? I don't mean fear or sadness, not anxiety, not grief. Those feelings, they come with labels. We talk about them. We know their shapes. I'm talking about something more invisible, like a shadow that moves when your back is turned. Like the stillness after a long cry when you're not sure if you feel better or emptier. Like lying in bed and feeling everything and nothing at the same time. That's the feeling I mean. It doesn't hurt the way heartbreak hurts. It doesn't sting like rejection. It's quieter, but it stays longer. It follows you to work. It sits with you on the train. It waits at the bottom of your coffee cup. It lingers in the silence between the messages you write and delete. And you never call it by name, because you're not sure it has one. You're not even sure it deserves one. But here's the thing. That unnamed feeling, it's not just yours. It's mine, too. And I think it's been with us longer than we admit. Do you remember the first time you felt it? You might have been a child quietly watching the rain slide down a window, wondering why the world felt heavy even when nothing was wrong. Or maybe it came later, after your first disappointment, when you realized some things don't get fixed with time or kindness. Maybe it crept in the first time you laughed while feeling hollow. The first time someone asked, "Are you okay?" And you smiled because it was easier than explaining the storm inside you. Whatever it was. You didn't name it. You just carried it. You carried it into adulthood. Into relationships. Into the quiet corners of your everyday life. It's the ache you feel when everything seems fine. But something inside you is quietly folding. And no one sees it. Because you've become very good at pretending. Sometimes. I wonder if that feeling is less of a wound and more of a companion. Not the kind you invite, but the kind that follows anyway. It doesn't knock. It doesn't demand. It just settles in. Silently. Like dust in a room you stopped visiting. And over time, you stop noticing it. Because you get used to it. You build your life around it. You wake up with it sitting quietly at the edge of your bed. And because it's quiet, no one asks about it. You laugh at the right moments. You nod during conversations. You say you're just tired. And the world moves on, never suspecting that your silence is carrying weight. You learn to function with it. To succeed with it. To even look happy with it. And that, perhaps, is the hardest part. Because people don't ask what's wrong when nothing seems broken. But something is. Something deep. Something wordless. Have you ever stood in a room full of people? And felt like the quietest person in the world? Not because you had nothing to say, but because your words felt too delicate for that space. So you said nothing. And in that silence, your sadness grew roots. Maybe this is what we mean when we talk about numbness. Not emptiness. Not despair. Just the quiet presence of something unnamed, untouched. It's like knowing a storm has passed but still flinching when the wind moves. It's like hearing a kind word and not knowing how to let it in. It's like watching someone reach for you and taking half a step back without knowing why. You're not broken. Just unspoken. And I want you to know, there is no shame in carrying what you don't yet understand. There is no shame in needing time to feel what you've avoided. No shame in not having the words. You are still worthy of love even if you can't name the sadness you carry. You are still whole even if something inside you feels quiet. You are still human even if no one knows what you're going through. And your silence is not a failure. It's just a pause, a breath, a space where feeling lives. Do you remember the first time you felt it? That quiet ache, the one that didn't come with a reason or a name. I think I do. I must have been maybe 9 or 10. It was a rainy afternoon, the kind where the sky felt low and the windows fogged with silence. Everyone else was in another room. Laughter, dishes, television. And I was just sitting by the window, watching the rain trail down the glass. One drop, then another, then another. I remember the weight in my chest. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear. It was just something. Something that made the world feel a little too big and me a little too small. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just felt it. Like the beginning of something I didn't yet understand. Later, I would feel it again, walking home alone after school, hearing a song I didn't know the words to but somehow felt written for me. Or during family dinners when everyone was talking and I was smiling, but felt completely unseen. That feeling followed me. It slipped between the cracks of normal moments. It filled the quiet after arguments. It hid behind laughter that didn't reach my eyes. And the strangest part, no one ever noticed. Because I looked fine. It makes me wonder, how many of us carried that same quiet ache through childhood? How many of us were the quiet kid, the sensitive one, the daydreamer, not because we were shy, but because we were already carrying something we couldn't explain? We learned how to stay quiet, to not interrupt, to be good, to feel deeply, but silently. And no one ever taught us how to speak emotions that had no words. So we grew up learning how to smile with weight in our chest, how to listen while our minds wandered into stillness, how to say I'm okay when we really meant, I'm floating too far from myself. And now, as adults, we keep searching for ways to describe what we never got to say. But sometimes, what we're looking for isn't a word. It's a space. A space like this. A moment like now. Where the silence doesn't demand explanation. It just welcomes you in. The thing about this feeling, this quiet ache without a name, is that it doesn't always arrive in sad moments. Sometimes it shows up right in the middle of joy. You're surrounded by friends. Someone's laughing. The music is playing. The world feels light. And then, in the middle of that lightness, you feel a shift. A small tug beneath your ribs. A pause in your breath. A flicker of detachment, like you're watching yourself from just a few steps away. It doesn't ruin the moment. But it's there. A shadow standing just outside the frame. You wonder, why can't I fully feel this? It happens in love, too. You're holding someone. Or being held. You're supposed to feel safe. Present. Whole. But a voice in the back of your mind whispers, do I belong here? Will they still want me? If they see this part of me? And there it is again. That unnamed feeling. Not jealousy. Not fear. Not sadness. Just distance. Even when you're close. A distance between your heart and your skin. between your mind and your body, between you and the moment you're living in. Or maybe it shows up after a long day at work. You've been productive. You've answered every message, crossed off every task, smiled through every interaction. But when you come home, and the lights are low, and the noise fades, you sit on the edge of your bed and feel nothing. Not relief, not exhaustion, just emptiness. A soft, slow emptiness that fills the room like fog. You can't cry. You can't sleep. You can't explain. All you can do is exist through it. We often talk about burnout as if it's about doing too much. But what if sometimes it's about feeling too little? About living too far from your own heart for too long? About carrying an unnamed sadness until you forget how to recognize joy without suspicion? About being in a world that keeps asking you to keep going when all you want is one moment to stop and feel. So tonight, if that feeling has returned, if it's sitting beside you in the quiet, don't push it away. You don't have to name it. You don't have to fix it. You don't even have to understand it. Just sit with it, like you would a friend who's hurting and doesn't want advice, just company. I used to think I had to get rid of that feeling, that I had to fight it, fix it, heal it, that if I could just name it, I could conquer it. But over time, I've learned something different. Some feelings don't want to be solved. They don't need labels. They just want to be felt. Quietly, gently, without judgment. Not everything inside you is a wound. Not every silence is emptiness. Some silences are shelter. I started asking myself, what if I stop running from this? What if I stop trying to define it and instead make space for it? What if healing doesn't always look like progress or productivity or moving on? What if healing is just being honest? Honest enough to say, I feel something I can't name, but I know it's real, and I'm allowed to feel it. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you stop resisting your own emotions. When you stop trying to get better and start being here, in your body, in your breath, in this moment with whatever is rising. Sadness, softness, stillness. Sometimes, we don't need to be rescued from our silence. We just need someone to sit in it with us, even if that someone is ourselves. Tonight, I want to tell you, you're not too sensitive. You're not too quiet. You're not too much. You feel deeply, and that's not a flaw. It's a gift. And even if no one else sees what you carry inside, I want you to know I do. Because I carry it, too. Tonight. You didn't need to be strong. You didn't need to be okay. You didn't need to explain. You just needed to be. And you were. You sat with me. In this quiet room made of words and pauses. And in that stillness, you gave yourself something very few people ever do: permission. Permission to feel. To be uncertain. To not name it, but still honor it. That unnamed ache. It doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. It means your heart is still open. It means you've lived, you've loved, you've lost, you've longed. It means you're real. If you ever feel that weight return when the night is long and the silence feels too wide to hold alone, come back here. I'll be waiting. Not with answers, but with presence, and stillness, and the quiet company of someone who understands. Thank you for letting me sit beside your silence tonight. Wherever you are not alone. And even in silence, you are heard. Thank you for being here with me tonight. For sitting with the silence. for feeling, even if the feeling had no name. If something in this episode stayed with you, hold it gently. Let it echo. Not loudly, but truthfully. You don't have to rush back into the noise. You can stay here, just a little longer. And if you ever feel alone in your quiet, remember, you can always return to this space, to this silence, to yourself. Until next time, be kind to your mind. And thank you for listening inside my silence.